Today, we're talking to a business owner who hired an executive assistant to manage her calendar. But today, the executive assistant manages her. Okay, so today I'm here with Chrissy Myers, and she is a CEO and president of Clarity HR and associated Underwriter Insurance. Can you share a little bit about each of those businesses and how maybe they intersect?
Sure. So Associated Underwriters Insurance, AUI, third generation family business, turned 52 this year. So I'm the third generation in the business.
Oh, wow.
We do employee benefits and health insurance for individuals and small businesses. And so since we've done that for a number of years, we realized that there was a gap in human resources. A lot of small businesses don't need, or have the budget for a full-time HR person. So 7 years ago, we founded Clarity HR, and that is a fractional full-service HR department for organizations that are small in size.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know it was a third-generation business.
It's AUI.
I did not know AUI existed before Clarity HR.
Yes.
So you're the one that started Clarity HR.
I did start Clarity HR. So I bought AUI from the second generation of the family business, and then promptly started Clarity right after I bought AUI.
Oh, I see. That's awesome. So I know in your business, you've used a lot of VAs. Could you tell me approximately how many VAs do you have today? Are they part-time, full-time? Are they all from Philippines?
Yeah, so we have 10 VAs that we work with right now. Wow. 9 are full-time. 1 is part-time. She's a graphic designer. 5 of them are located in the Philippines and they're independent contractors with us. And then we have 5 others. 2 are in El Salvador, 3 are in Nicaragua, and they work with us with another company. So we have an outsourced company that we work with on that side on the contracting.
Interesting. So the ones outside of Philippines, you didn't actually. It's actually through an agency.
It is through an agency, and they handle a lot of our back office HR, back office benefits, and then our Philippine staff. That's where my executive assistant is, and then our sales and marketing team, the ones that support sales and marketing, are in the Philippines.
Oh, wow. So do they all work in U.S. shifts, or is the El Salvador team works in U.S. shifts and everybody else flexible?
So for the most part, the Central America team that support the benefits division and the HR division, they work the same hours that we do within the United States. Our Philippine team, sales and marketing, for the most part, they work our hours, but we do give them some flexibility in swing shifts. And then my executive assistant, we work on a different schedule. She generally works early morning with me, and then she works later in the evening, which works really well for our schedule and how we communicate.
Okay. Well, so I this is interesting because, a lot of my teams from Philippines, we have them working U.S. schedule. Is there a reason why you didn't have your Philippines team working the U.S. schedule? Were you concerned about, I guess, their well-being and their with a graveyard shift? That's what they call it. You don't want to give them a graveyard shift. You want to give them more flexibility.
Yeah, so we started with everybody working the same shift that we have within our organization. And then over time realized that work-life balance was a little difficult for some of the individuals that were supporting us. And so as they've been with us for longer, if the schedule allows and if the scope of work allows, we've enabled them to create swing shifts. And so it's really more about, how do you get the work done and when can you get the work done that's optimal for our organization? Because we also want to make sure that, most people, they live to work. They don't work to live. So it's just, how do you make sure that you're maintaining? So about 18 months ago, we realized that there may be a gap in some of the things that we were doing with our staff from the Philippines. And so we needed to do some transition around timing. Okay.
And talk back a little bit. How many years ago? So when did you start actually hiring people remotely, VAs?
Yeah, so I was introduced to the topic in probably 2020, and I was terrified of it for about 3 years.
Wow.
And then in 2023, I took a temporary position as an interim CEO in an organization that I needed help get out of receivership. And so because of that, I needed assistance in navigating and dealing with my calendar and kind of managing some of the things that I was doing between the 3 organizations at that point in time that I was then running. And so I looked at that point to potentially hire an executive assistant, went through a couple iterations, and the current executive assistant that I work with now, Manny, I met Manny in the middle of that year, and she has been wonderful and with me ever since. And because things went so well with Manny, that was really the impetus of getting us to use VAs in other parts of our organization.
Oh, wow. So that was 2023.
2023.
Is when you found Manny, and you're still working with her today.
Yes.
Wow.
It'll be 3 years in July. So super excited.
That triggered, so Manny really triggered the whole team.
She did. We had a couple of VAs that we'd worked with before we started at the beginning of the year. I had a different executive assistant. We hired someone to help us on the sales and lead gen side. And the lead generator was actually the person that introduced us to Manny. So
awesome. So I actually had a chance to talk to Manny via email, and I, because I was participating in one of your podcasts as well. I had some interactions, and Manny was prepping me for the podcast, and she was giving me the sample questions that you're going to be asking me, and all this information, and make sure I submit it back to her. So I just love how she was. I'm guessing you didn't have anything to do with making up the sample questions at all. Did she?
She figured out. So we walked through a process together. So I was trained initially on the process, and then trained her on how to do those questions and how to develop them. So she handled all of it. She sends them to me as like a final review of, is this okay? And then I approve. And most of the time now, I don't even have to make any edits to it because we've just worked on this together for so long.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because I know she definitely have used different sources on me, right? Because a lot of questions that she kind of pointed to, gave me, it was so relevant, and it was very in depth. I was like, I had to think about how does she even know about this to write this question, right? So she definitely, LinkedIn is definitely one of the keys. I think there's probably a couple more sources outside of LinkedIn as well. So that was great. How long did it take you, I guess you and Manny, to get to that step? Because I'm pretty sure it's not day one that just
the podcast training.
Yeah,
I would say it probably took us about a month together. So we had a written SOP on how to do it, and then I filmed a couple Loom videos because before I trained her on how to do the podcast questions, I was doing them myself, and so that it became something that I just didn't have time for anymore. So filmed the video, had the SOP, trained her on it, and then she started doing things on her own, and then I'm watching, kind of like guiding her through, giving her some additional feedback, and then over time, it's just now something that she can do. She's done independently. She's handled probably the last 15 guests that we've had on the podcast strictly on her own.
And I know you do a lot of podcasts, so the volume there is definitely going to be a lot of help with somebody who can prep your guests for you, right?
Yes, and so she does all the prep work. She does the calendar scheduling. She coordinates to make sure that everyone's going to show up when they need to show up, and then she also coordinates the thank yous that go out afterwards.
I haven't received my
if you haven't gotten your thank you yet, you're going to get it from
Manny. Okay, good. No, I'm glad I will be hearing from Manny a little bit more. A little bit more about the solopreneur side of things, because or people with small teams. I think when you start, you don't have a big team before, right? And then what would you say? So for podcast, obviously, it seems like you and Manny has, dialed it in pretty well. But if a small business owner is trying to get a new VA hired, and this is the first time they do this, maybe an executive assistant, a small business owner is thinking about executive assistant for themselves. What kind of process do you think they should systemize, or procedures they should systemize first before they hire a VA? Is there a process that you think? Yeah.
So I think there's a process that you should follow anytime you're thinking of hiring a team member, whether they're a VA or they're a standard W-2 or a contractor. And that is, as a solopreneur, you're starting to think about, what is the stop doing list? What are the things that are not worth my time and the value that I have for my time right now that I should be training someone else to do? So you create that stop doing list. Then you start creating what the training needs to be for that individual and start documenting how you're doing things in your day. So if you're like, I don't even know where to start, I would encourage you to even create the list of what are the tasks that I'm doing every day, and what are the things that I probably don't need to be doing that someone else could be doing for me. And then it's really about empowering and training them. I treat the individuals within our organization, because we have 25 total team members at this point in time. So the 10 that are, whether they're across the ocean or they're in a different hemisphere, they are doing a lot of the same value and types of work that we do within our organization that our face-to-face team members do. And so it's just really important they have space on the accountability chart. They all have descriptions and scopes of work for the things that they're working on. And then we create standard operating procedures for everyone within our organization. So whether you are in Ohio or you're in the Philippines, you're following the same processes. So running on the same operating system, I think, is also important as you're thinking about, as you scale, as you're adding that first VA, what are the things that I want to give them, but really thinking about how to explain the tasks. And then you have to be willing to let them do it, which means occasionally they're going to make mistakes and you have to be willing to just be coachable with them. It's all about a dialogue. And so like with Manny and I, when we first started working together, we met every day, twice a day to kind of talk through, this is what needs to happen. This is what my schedule looks like. And I would constantly be filming Loom videos and kind of giving them to her, like, this is what I'm doing. And then after she would watch them, she'd create a standard operating procedure. We would review it. And then she would continue to work on, training, development, all the things she needed to do.
Yeah, I love how we have a lot of similarities because you said 2023, that's when you hired Manny and really got into the overseas VA hiring. And for me, that's when I started my business too. ZR Workforce Virtual Assistants. I started back in 2023. I hired my first VA, and I think we have very similar stories. I met with my VA, twice. Well, not twice a day, but once a day for maybe 4 or 5 times a week, just to go through the process and make sure everything's is followed up. This is great. And thinking back, I think 2023. AI wasn't very much, not as prevalent as today, right? So what do you tell a business owner that would say to you, hey, why would I need a VA to do this? I think AI could just do this for me.
So I don't believe that AI is here to replace humans. I think it's here to optimize humans. So it's really about teaching the individuals within your organization how to leverage AI effectively so that it can be operationalized and move your business forward. So I'm not akin to replacing everybody with AI. I am more apt to help them be optimized. So, Manny uses a lot of AI tools as she's working on creating podcast questions, working on leveraging different information, scanning information for me. I think it's important that all of our team members at this point in time, we're going through education and training as an entire organization. And we do training and development, not just with our in-office team, but also with all of our VAs. We do all of our training and development together because we're one team. So it's important that everybody knows how to use the tools correctly because we're all going to be using them to move the business forward.
Yeah. This is kind of similar to what I tell all of my VAs is, hey, if you don't want your job to be replaced, if you don't want to lose your job, you got to start learning AI and get training and really master, the AI. That way you won't be replaced, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's very good. With the, what would you tell other business owner out there that is now thinking of really seriously considering hiring an overseas VA, but they're afraid of getting scammed?
I guess I would want to push back a little bit and say, well, what type of scamming are you worried about? Are you worried about them not doing the job? Because you put guardrails around that individual just like you put guardrails around any other employee. And I feel that whether they're in your office or they're across the ocean, the likelihood that something could happen is the same. Mm-hmm. So it's really about, what are you willing to give up and what guardrails are you willing to put around a team member so that you can make sure that they're successful? You have to trust and you have to verify. There's certain things that I will allow Manny to do. There's other things that because of where she's located, she can't do. So there's some things around like some of our systems. There's a reason why the majority of our team that supports our HR and insurance functions, they have to be third-party managed with an organization that has significant firewalls because they're touching different systems that have a higher level of security. Right. So it's just also about making sure that you understand what you need to run your business and supporting the right guardrails because good governance is important whether you're managing your W-2s or you're managing contractors. Yeah.
We have some corporate clients that all of our VAs, instead of using their own computers, they require people the VAs to use a virtual desktop.
Yes.
The virtual desktop just remotes, I guess, into a server in the US where everything is operated as a virtual desktop. You can't literally, if you copy something, a text or something in the virtual desktop, you can't even paste it into your own computer. It doesn't work that way.
Yes.
Unless you, of course, email it to yourself, then that's all traceable and things like that, right? So, no, that's great. So the other questions I have here, I'm trying to find here. What was the? So you mentioned of Manny. She started off as an executive assistant in 2023, but now does she manage people now?
She does.
Okay.
So Yes, because she's an extension of me. So we worked initially where she was executive assistant and really managing Chrissy's calendar, scheduling appointments for me, and just kind of taking some of the tasks off my plate that I didn't have time to do. And as we've continued to move forward in our relationship and she's become more equipped and well-trained, as we've hired additional VAs, especially the ones that are in the Philippines with the sales and marketing team, she becomes an extension of me in managing them, but then also over the last year, she's hired several to help continue to support. Like, this is the work that we need to do. Manny, are you willing to help create the job description? And let's go out and hire the right people for the right seats. And so that's what she has been doing for the last year. And we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago and she said, Chrissy, I never expected when we were starting our engagement that you would have me managing people. That's not something that I ever wanted to do. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about it? She's like, I like it.
Yeah.
I really like doing it. And now including, so she's hiring people, she's managing them. And then when they're having issues with expectations or need a clarification, she's also putting the guardrails around them so that she can ensure that they're successful. And if they don't meet the standard, she's perfectly happy to exit them as well. So not only is she taking things off of my plate that help me move the business forward, she's also being an extension of me and managing the organization, building the team. Yeah. And there are moments, honestly, Zal, where I'm afraid of her because she's really good at keeping me within the guardrails of where I've told her that I need to be. And so part of it too is mutual respect and accountability. And she does a really good job for me on that.
Yeah. So would you say that's kind of one of her key attribute that you then have trust in her to actually manage a team for you is that she can then put guardrails for you, put guardrails around you too?
Yes, it absolutely is. And I think that as you're working with an executive assistant, I think it's really important to understand that we fail to the level of our training. So it was really important for me and Manny when we started working together that I empowered her and gave her additional training and development, not just from me, but from outside sources to help her be a better executive assistant. So I'm in Strategic Coach right now as a program, and she did the Strategic Assistance Program. I paid for her to do that. And it was absolutely impactful because now she understands sometimes the tools that I'm supposed to be using in Strategic Coach better than I do. Or she'll remind me of, Chrissy, you said this was a free day and you're trying to put a work thing on your calendar. That's not going to happen. And it's like, do we need to change? Do we need to change that it's a free day, or do we need to be reminded that this is not something that should be on your calendar? And it's like, oh, okay, Manny.
Oh, I love it.
You're right.
Love it. Keeping you accountable.
She manages me. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the last questions we ask almost everybody here. What's one thing your VA does that you didn't expect, but now can't live without?
I didn't expect her to give me boundaries around some of the things that I need to do, and also just the dialogue of clarifying questions. And when we're thinking about moving in a direction, she's really become an extension of me and the leadership team and being a good thought partner in how do we put things together efficiently and how do we make sure that we're living within our purpose and mission. I did not expect to have such a good advisor when I hired somebody that was going to manage my calendar, and now she really helps manage the business and manage my life. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, thank you all for that. Chrissy, so if people want to reach out to you, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, so AUIinfo.com is the AUI website, clarityhr.com, and then the Business Fix or Better Business for Small Business Leaders podcast.
Yeah, that's a great podcast. I heard a lot of going viral recently. Maybe.
Having a good time.
Okay, well, thank you, Chrissy, for being here today. And if you want to stick around, I'm going to be summarizing some of the conversations that I had with Chrissy today, and stick around. Today, our takeaway is whether it's a remote employee or a local employee. If you give them empowerment, if you give them training, they can grow in your business while growing your business. See you next week.